fantastic. I'm feeling happy about that concept. But I'm partly an economist, and I'd love to find this group of happiness economists, because they're near the sociable computer scientists and the friendly lawyers. They're all working together. I'd also love to attempt a benefit cost analysis with happiness units as opposed to dollars, and we could do an NPV happiness on a large golden trumpet down at South Bank. So if the Brisbane City Council want to commission that, we'll have a look into the happiness efficiency of a golden trumpet at South Bank. So I was the one, James, in the audience with the triangle, in the whole concert with the triangle, and my job was to go bing at the very end at school. That was me, and sometimes I'd forget, and they'd all be, but mostly that's what I did. So that's the role I do want to play in this idea. Look, I've had a fantastic time thinking about this, and I'm honoured and flattered actually to have opportunity here to talk about a brave idea for Brisbane. I grew up in Taringa, and I still live there. From my back deck I can see the house where I grew up in, and my kids go to the same kindy I went to. So Brisbane is a fantastic place, and this thinking is really exciting for me. We had some people over for dinner and got talking about this, and some of the suggestions that got knocked off the list were making Mount Cootha high enough to have ski slopes. Could have featured well on the happiness benefit cost ratio, but I'm not sure about the financial bit. Meter mates came up, but that was cancelled out because of the cold weather in winter. And also the healthy outdoor city. But the one I want to run with actually relates to my work a bit. So I've taken up leadership at CSIRO Futures, and you can get a copy of this report outside as you're leaving. Now, I was down in Melbourne 2 years ago, and this is why CSIRO kicked this off, and there was a big conference, and we were going to have a video link to Boston Consulting Group to talk about global megatrends, because I don't think the Australian government that were running the thing felt anyone in Australia was doing this. So they did the video link, and Kerry O'Brien of 7:30 Reports up the front facilitating the whole thing, and the video link died and it wasn't going anywhere, so eventually they had to grab someone at random out of the audience, and we'd done a very small internal think piece in CSIRO about megatrends, about how the world was changing. And we put it in front of this audience, and it hit them in the right spot, and it was fascinating to see that this work was being done in Australia, and lo and behold, the guy up the front was from Brisbane, not Sydney or Melbourne, and that was quite amazing for the audience. And that's where my idea, my brave, or it is a fine line between brave and crazy, isn't it, Greg? But that's where my brave idea started to happen. And I think that I'd like to call it bright futures from Brisbane. The world is changing at a greater rate than ever before. The rate of technological advancement is off the chart. So if we look at, imagine if we took the first fleet back in when they arrived and put them on an A380 and flew them from England to Australia, what that might be like for them. It would be fascinating, and the change in that 200-year period is enormous. Well, the coming decades will see a far greater rate of change. A lot of it is less visible. A lot of it is happening in the world of information technology and biomedical sciences, but the change is upon us really quickly. It's also the rate of change economically in the world as China and India pull the world economy eastwards. We're seeing the world change at this great rate. Now, people are fearful of change, and there's a huge amount of opportunity of the change. What we found at that conference that launched this thing, CSIRO Futures, that a lot of people really want to know. So what if we had the Brisbane Foresight Institute, where we had some really creative and amazing, interesting thinking about possible futures, and we started to issue reports like this one, maybe one on global food security, maybe another one on the rise of the virtual economy, maybe another one on the shift of the world economy into Asia. Big important things. And Brisbane became known as the label that report became trusted, respected, and a lot of people wanted to find out about it. So a bit like the Copenhagen Consensus or the Geneva Convention, there was the Brisbane Futures reports that started to stack up and attract global attention. And I would want to run a big conference here in Brisbane as part of this. We'd stick it onto the end of the trumpet, music conference that James is doing. With a lot of happy people at it. And that would be a chance for us, instead of like Expo, we'd have a day in the life of 2050, and we'd have the augmented reality room where you get to put on the 3D glasses and you walk around and you experience what it's like in the future. And we have a whole lot of sessions and seminars on it. We also get the art gallery involved so that they have pictures of the future painted there for people to think about and understand and explore. And I do believe that the global community really wants to know and see a bright future as well. So the happiness angle is definitely in this one, in that we want to create a bright and positive future that shows the directions we can take, so that Brisbane becomes a thought leadership city, basically, as we look out into the future. So that is the the basic guts of my brave or crazy idea is that Brisbane basically starts to put itself on the stage as a thought leadership city, creating bright futures and captivating people's imagination with a strong evidence base too, so that we actually start to rely on reports that come out of this Brisbane Foresight Institute or Foresight Centre, and that we have events, large conferences here, which every year bring people from right across Asia, Europe, all around the world, the US, into Brisbane to think about possible futures in a non-partisan way, in a way that has evidence mixed with imagination to explore what things might be like. So that's my brave idea.